All right, now that we've got our hose laid out from the engine to the door, we've got the pump discharge pressure set, we've got our nozzle procedures that have been gone through, all the air's bled out, the kinks are hammered out, the officer's come back around from his 360, and now they're gonna mask up and they're getting ready to go. Making the entry from the door to the fire. This is where good teamwork, good communication is gonna be really important because we have to manage those friction points inside of that structure. Once these guys are ready to go, Dave's gonna be on the nozzle here. He's gonna be taking that in the door first, obviously. Colton is his backup. Colton's gonna take a straight stick, which is gonna be right here off of where the nozzle is, and he's gonna take one bite in with him. He's gonna be trying to find that first coupling as his bite to take in. That's gonna ensure that they've got at least 50 feet inside of that structure, which is gonna get them pretty much wherever they need to go in most of our residential structures in our areas. Spacing on this line is really important. We don't want to bunch up together because that's going to make it really difficult to actually manage that hose inside of that structure. So depending on the conditions that you get inside, depending on the visibility, what you find on your 360, what you find when you open that door, we want to try to give ourselves a little bit of space on that line. So as they're making entry, Colton's got his bite, he's got his stick, they're ready to go. We're assuming the door procedures have all taken place. This is a hose management class. It's not about door procedures. Make an entry in the structure, and it looks like Colton gave himself a good 10 to 12 feet here. All right, now that these guys have made entry, you can see that the backup person has got the bite and the stick in their hand. Colton is ensuring that he's bringing at least 50 feet of hose inside of the structure by having his bite right there at that coupling. As they're making their way in, Colton sees that he's in a hallway, so about mid-span of that hallway, he's gonna drop that bite, and then he's going to help continue to move that hose forward into the structure. What he's essentially done here is he's brought in that extra hose with them. It's lying right behind them, so it's going to be easier to maneuver throughout that structure. All right, you can see now that these guys are entering the structure and they're coming from one space into another, which is creating a T situation. The backup person here is going to preload that space in that T, where he's going to be pulling that hose in and feeding it away from the direction of the nozzle. That's going to help line that hose straight up, so when they pull that nozzle down the hallway, it's going to be that much easier. It's important for the nozzle person, anytime they're moving hose inside of the structure, to make sure that they are not trying to outrun their backup person, because that backup person is doing a lot of valuable work to aid them in the movement of that hose. All right, now these guys are inside of this hallway and they're approaching their first corner that they're going to have to manage. They've got good spacing on the line. They're still within voice, visual, or touch. Conditions are getting a little bit warmer, so you can see that they're lower to the ground. Visibility could be becoming a little bit more obscured. As Dave approaches this corner, they need to communicate with each other of what they're coming into. In fact, he's going to call out. Go ahead and call out. Making sure that that communication loop is closed. That's going to help Colton to prepare for that corner. And as Dave makes his way, go ahead, Dave. He's going to make his way into that corner, trying to avoid that inside pinch point by going high and to the right and kicking that hose out as he goes around. Colton is following up on that stick. He's crossing over the line because he doesn't want to be on the inside of that pinch point. Once he gets to that corner, he's going to put his bottle in that corner. He's going to sit down using the big muscle groups. He's feeding the hose to the nozzle person. And when he feels that nozzle person stop the advancement, they're still able to communicate with each other. But this is going to be an opportunity for Colton to take this extra hose and start to bring it up to him and then feed that next space. Anytime we can continue to preload that next space, it's going to help us up in our future movements. All right, the next line of communication, when Colton's in that corner, he's managing the corner, that nozzle person, there's a good chance that they've already made the fire room or close to it. And so that nozzle person is going to be yelling bump up to this backup person in preparation for getting them up closer to them to work with them. It could be to have them move up to the next corner, which is your pinch point, or to get right up there with the nozzle person at the entrance to the fire room, put the hit on the fire, and then this backup person is going to potentially either take the window in preparation for hydraulic ventilation or maybe do a search of the immediate fire area.
Bump up! Bump up!
So Colton's taking a little extra time here to preload that space one more time before he moves up that line. So when it's time for your nozzle person to open up that nozzle, either to hit the fire or in this situation as they're making their way down the hallway, conditions are getting warmer. Dave is cooling the overhead where those toxic gases and smoke is at, trying to keep the fire from propagating with that heat. He's also hitting the walls on both sides, the ceiling. Those are radiating heat back in as well. He's cooling those surfaces, and once in a while, you can see that he's actually hitting the floor as well. And this is sweeping any debris out of his way. In doing this, he's going to make sure that they have a safer advancement down that hallway.